Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. It's time for our Cash Tag segment, so let's bring in our next guest, and that's going to be Andy Swan. He's a co-founder at LikeFolio. Welcome back to the show, Andy.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you. We're talking FedEx. I saw the stock got upgraded this morning, but this thing's had a nice run, and I did a comparison with UPS. It's down about 11% so far this year. FedEx is up about 52% so far this year. I mean, what kind of data are you guys seeing? It seems like everything's swinging FedEx's way, and just about a year and a half ago, it was the opposite.
Yeah, well, we have seen, a pretty significant shift here at LikeFolio in terms of consumer data. Of course, both of these companies rely heavily on B2B operations, and we don't have a ton of insight into that, but in terms of looking at where consumers are looking for their packages, whether they're upset with their delivery or not, how much people are visiting the websites of these companies, I think can give us a real clue as to which of the two companies is winning the war. And for right now, it looks like FedEx is gaining some pretty good ground. If you look at, web visits to both companies, both are up year over year, which I think is interesting in itself, just because the macro economic context, we're in some tough times, but both of those seeing an uptick, but FedEx significantly more so than UPS. And we think that's a trend that looks like it may be here to stay. We think FedEx is getting quite a bit better at sort of that local logistics game. For a long time, they were the choice if you wanted to send something for a very, very long distance. UPS was more geared towards getting things to the right home address really quickly. FedEx was a little more B2B, but we see FedEx making some strides in the consumer market and starting to outperform UPS. On the other hand, just to give a balanced view from a consumer happiness perspective, we do see UPS consistently and still delivering better results in terms of consumer happiness. This chart's a little bit exaggerated because the way the axis turned out on this, but we do see a 6-point lead for UPS that is really stable versus FedEx. And so people are enjoying, their UPS deliveries a little bit more than FedEx. FedEx tends to get a little sloppy sometimes around the house or in that last mile of delivery. And so we think, as we go into this important holiday quarter, it's still UPS's game to lose, but at this point we are seeing, pretty good reason from a consumer insights perspective as to why Wall Street may be liking FedEx stock. I think they're starting to catch up, and if you see a shift like that, you have to pay attention, as we've seen, on this show many times with FedEx and Lowe's and Home Depot. We saw that switch. That can be a really big deal. So we're keeping a close eye on these two. Really kind of like what FedEx is up to here.
Andy, I think we all agree that this form of business is only going to get bigger, right? They're going to grow either at slower paces or faster paces in the future. And at FedEx, I love companies that cut expenses and become more lean and agile, and FedEx is doing that. That's a big reason why this stock has rallied. But there's an Amazon question here. Now that Amazon is back delivering third party, only dipping their toe in, they're a real competitor to them. And Amazon likes to go after the middlemen, and they like to go after high margins. Well, FedEx is a middleman with high margins, right? Their margins are going up because of these cost cuttings to 12, 13%, up near where UPS was. But are both these companies safe from, what Amazon is about to rain down on them?
Well, I don't think it's ever fair to say any company is safe from Amazon. This is, it's a giant that has done miraculous things over and over again. I will say that we are seeing pretty good distribution outside of Amazon in terms of, e-commerce. I think that the advancements that are happening at the direct-to-consumer level for companies like Nike, other large companies like that, going direct-to-consumer has, made Amazon less of a force. It's still the massive force and the dominant force in the industry, but also, for one-off shops like that are using Shopify and other places like that. We're just starting to see a nice democratization, a nice distribution of companies, whether they're small or large, able to go direct to the consumer. And I think for all of those companies, outside of Amazon's purview, it's FedEx or it's UPS. And actually, I think the one dark horse I would throw into this conversation is Uber. I think from a long-term perspective, Uber's got that local logistics down so well that I think that they could be the real dark horse that kind of comes from out of nowhere and steals some market share in the future. But for now, it's a FedEx UPS game, and Amazon's going to do their thing. But I think overall, I agree with you. FedEx in good shape, increasing margins, getting more efficient during this kind of tough macro time.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be key going into the holiday shopping season, how much people are going to actually buy. They're constrained by inflationary pressures. But I got a chart of UPS versus FedEx here, Andy, and it's at the widest level that it's been in years, where UPS is lagging FedEx. But if you look at your mentions chart, it seems like the stock price on that one specific graphic, there's the FedEx UPS, pretty wide gap here at this point. It doesn't seem like your mentions count where the stock is kind of correlates that maybe this stock is maybe in uncharted territory or maybe a little bit overbought.
Yeah, the mentions volume at LikeFolio did a really good job of predicting the latest surge in FedEx stock price, and we're kind of in a wait and see pattern. I wouldn't say that we're due for a pullback necessarily. I think we really have to see what happens over this very critical next 3-month period. We're kind of ending the off season, if you will, for these delivery giants, and so I really want to see what the data looks like as we move forward into October, and especially November and December. Who captures that holiday shipping, especially e-commerce side of things, I think will really determine who's the winner in 2024. But so far, I think we've done a good job of saying FedEx is the winner over UPS for the first time in a long time. And so you kind of just have to continue sticking with that trend until the data points the other way.
All right, great stuff. Great data, as always, Andy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that's Andy Swan, co-founder at LikeFolio, breaking down the data for us on this. FedEx, it's severely outperformed. I mean, like I said, just over a year ago, this data and